Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really fascinating area where energy, the environment, and economics all meet the global biomass market.
That's right.
We've got this incredibly detailed report you sent over, Global Biomass Market Forecast to 2033 from Cognitive Market Research. It's our main guide today.
A very thorough piece of work.
So our mission here for this deep dive is really to pull out the key takeaways. We want to give you a clear picture of, what biomass actually is, why it's getting so much attention, and crucially, where this market is heading over the next, 10 years or so.
Exactly.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding the maybe surprising facts and the really significant growth that's shaping this industry. Okay, let's jump in.
Let's do it.
So before we get lost in the billions of dollars, maybe let's just get on the same page. What is biomass, fundamentally? And why is so much money globally pouring into it?
Right. Well, what's interesting is how the source defines it pretty broadly, actually. It's essentially any renewable organic material.
Okay, like what kind of stuff?
Think agricultural leftovers, corn stalks, that sort of thing. Wood scraps, obviously, even municipal solid waste.
So regular trash?
Some of it, yeah. And even things like animal fats. The key is that these aren't just waste products anymore. They're feedstocks.
Feedstocks
For producing bioenergy. That could be electricity, heat, or, increasingly sophisticated biofuels.
Gotcha. And why the big push now?
Well, the report points to a few key drivers. There's the big global shift towards cleaner energy, obviously. Then there's this growing embrace of what they call circular economy models.
Right, where waste isn't wasted.
Precisely. And then just really ambitious goals governments are setting for decarbonization.
Okay, so biomass fits into that picture. How? Why is it seen as so vital?
It's largely positioned as a carbon-neutral alternative to fossil fuels. Now, there are debates around how neutral, depending on sourcing and processing, but that's the general idea.
Okay.
And importantly, it's seen as contributing to energy security using local resources and also environmental sustainability, dealing with waste and producing energy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and the report even touches on some cool innovations like advanced pyrolysis, turning city waste, not just farm stuff, into valuable bio-oils. That really changes the game for waste management.
Huh. Turning trash into treasure, almost.
Kind of, yeah. Turning a cost into a potential revenue stream.
Okay, that sets the stage really well. Now let's zoom out. The money involved here. You mentioned the report has some pretty big numbers. What's the overall market looking like?
It's definitely significant. So back in 2021, the global market was already valued at $59.099 billion. Let's call it just shy of $60 billion.
$60 billion in 2021. Okay, not small change.
Not at all. But that's really just the starting line. The projections, they show some serious acceleration.
Right, and this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you're tracking global energy trends.
Yeah.
Where's it headed?
So from that almost $60 billion in 2021, it's projected to hit about $77.5 billion by 2025.
Okay, solid growth in just a few years.
And then the big jump. The forecast goes up to $133.177 billion by 2033.
Wow, okay. Over $133 billion. So it's more than doubling from 2021 in about 12 years.
Exactly. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of just over 7%. 7.005% to be precise.
7% CAGR. That's not just ticking along. That's pretty rapid expansion for a global market of this size, right?
Absolutely. It signals a pretty fundamental shift, I think, in energy investment and priorities globally.
Okay, that global picture is definitely impressive. But, for a deep dive, we need to know where this is actually happening. Is it evenly spread, or are some regions really pulling ahead?
That's a great question. And no, it's definitely not evenly spread. The report breaks it down really nicely, and you see some clear leaders emerging.
Let's get into that then. Which regions are the powerhouses?
Well, Asia-Pacific is projected to be the largest market, significantly so.
Okay.
They were already at just over $18 billion back in 2021. The forecast sees that growing to over $24 billion by 2025, and then rocketing up to more than $43.5 billion by 2033.
Over $43 billion.
Oh.
So more than doubling there, too. Who's driving that within Asia-Pacific?
China is a huge player. Their market was around $5.5 billion in 2021, projected to hit over $12.5 billion by 2033.
Right.
India also shows really rapid growth from about $3.2 billion up to nearly $9.8 billion. And Japan's significant, too, growing from around $3.4 billion to $8.1 billion. Plus South Korea, Australia, Southeast Asia, they're all contributing. It really shows that regions focus on diversifying energy.
Okay, so Asia-Pacific is number one. Who's number two?
That would be Europe. They were at about $16.7 billion in 2021.
Right.
Projected to reach over $21.4 billion in 2025, and then climb to over $35.5 billion by 2033.
Still very substantial growth. Any key countries there?
Germany is a major force, expected to grow from just under $3 billion to over $6.7 billion. The UK is also strong, going from about $2.2 billion to over $5 billion. France, Italy, Spain, even Russia show significant numbers and growth. Europe's clearly maintaining its push on renewables.
Makes sense. What about North America?
Also a very big market. They generated, over $13 billion in 2021.
Okay.
Expected to grow to almost $17 billion by 2025, and then reach nearly $28 billion by 2033.
And I'm guessing the U.S. is the dominant player there.
Overwhelmingly, the U.S. accounted for about $10.7 billion of that 2021 figure, and is projected to hit almost $21.8 billion by 2033.
Huge.
Yeah. Canada's significant too, though, growing from around $2 billion to nearly $5.4 billion, and Mexico shows steady growth as well.
Okay. What about other regions? South America?
Yep, South America's in the mix. Their market was valued at about $4.7 billion in 2021.
Right.
That's forecasted to grow to $6.25 billion in 2025, and then reach almost $11 billion, $10.92 billion by 2033. So again, more than doubling.
And Brazil leads there, I imagine.
Yes, Brazil's the leader, projected to grow from about $2.1 billion to $4.75 billion. But Argentina, Colombia, others are also showing pretty solid growth.
Interesting. What about Africa?
Africa's market, while starting from a smaller base, is also growing quite strongly. It was about $3.7 billion in 2021, projected to reach almost $5 billion by 2025, and then over $8.5 billion by 2033.
So again, more than doubling there as well. Key countries.
Nigeria and South Africa are the main drivers highlighted. Nigeria's market is expected to grow from about $1.7 billion to over $3.6 billion, and South Africa from roughly $1.4 billion to nearly $3.4 billion. It reflects that growing focus on sustainable options across the continent.
Good to see. And finally, the Middle East. Often associated with fossil fuels, but are they involved here?
They are, yes. It's the smallest regional market in the report, but the growth is still considerable. Started under $2.8 billion in 2021.
Okay.
Forecasted to hit $3.7 billion in 2025, and then grow to over $6.6 billion by 2033. Again, more than doubling.
And who leads there?
Saudi Arabia is the largest contributor, projected to grow from about $800 million to over $2 billion. But Turkey, the UAE, Egypt, Qatar, they're all showing robust growth, too. It definitely signals diversification efforts.
That's fascinating. I mean, these numbers across every single region paint this picture of just rapid, widespread expansion.
It really does.
So, stepping back from the specific figures, billions here, percentages there, what's the main thing you, our listener, should really take away from all this data? Why does this biomass deep dive matter right now?
I think fundamentally it underlines this really profound and genuinely global commitment to cleaner energy, yes, but also these circular economy ideas.
Wow.
It's not just, an abstract goal of reducing emissions anymore. It's about finding practical, economically sound ways to turn stuff we used to think of as waste into actual valuable energy assets.
Right. It's a resource management shift as much as an energy shift.
Exactly. And the sheer amount of money being invested, the consistent growth projected across so many different kinds of economies, rich, developing, resource-focused, manufacturing-focused, it just shows that this broad-based belief that biomass is a workable, sustainable part of the future energy mix.
So it's not just a niche thing anymore.
Definitely not. It highlights a critical, practical shift in how countries are thinking about managing resources and producing energy, moving towards systems that are much more integrated and, frankly, less wasteful.
So to wrap it up then, we've journeyed through the global biomass market.
Mm-hmm.
We started with what is basically renewable organic stuff, from farm waste to city garbage.
Mm-hmm.
We saw its impressive growth, heading towards that projected $133 billion valuation by 2033.
A huge number.
Driven, clearly, by this worldwide push for clean energy for decarbonization. And we saw how regions like Asia-Pacific, Europe, North America are really leading, with countries like China, Germany, the U.S. making massive contributions.
That's a good summary.
So, as you've listened to all this, what's the one thing that really stands out to you about this deep dive? Think about the implications of this massive shift. And maybe, as you consider the future of energy and sustainability, ponder this question. Forget the big industrial sources for a moment. What surprising, maybe overlooked sources of organic material or waste streams exist in your own community, maybe even your own industry, that could be untapped opportunities for bioenergy?
That's a great thought to end on.
The future of energy might seriously be hiding in what we used to just throw away. We talk a lot about solar, about wind, huge sources, obviously.
Right, they get most of the headline.
But there's this other energy source, one that literally grows, often overlooked. But it's becoming, well, surprisingly important in the whole energy transition picture. Today, we're diving deep into biomass.
It's a good one to unpack.
Yeah, so our mission here is to sort of cut through the usual chatter. We've got some detailed market reports, some research.
Like stuff.
And we want to pull out the key bits, the real nuggets of knowledge about biomass, why it matters, what holds it back, and where it's heading, so you can feel properly clued in.
Exactly, because biomass often gets, well, sidelined in the big renewable energy talks.
Right.
But it plays this critical role, and it's changing, evolving, especially when you think about, like, decentralized energy and dealing with waste. It's much more flexible than people think.
Okay, so let's get into that. I mean, biomass, wood burning, it's ancient, right?
Right.
Why now? Why is it suddenly such a key player?
Well, there are a few big things pushing it forward.
Yeah, the sources point to basically three converging forces. First off, governments. There's a big push for carbon neutrality.
Definitely. You see it everywhere.
Governments in the EU, North America, India too, they're seeing biomass as renewable. And crucially, carbon neutral if it's managed right.
That managed right part is key, of course.
Totally. And they're putting policies in place. Things like feed-in tariffs.
Which guarantee a price, yeah.
Makes it bankable. Exactly. Or renewable portfolio standards, making utilities use a certain amount of renewables.
Yeah.
Even specific programs for rural electrification.
It ties directly into the bigger climate goals, like the Paris Agreement.
Right. Helps decarbonize heating, power, and it supports rural areas. That's a big plus.
And what's interesting is how these policies make biomass genuinely competitive in certain situations. They're not just symbolic, they actually shift the economics on the ground.
Okay, so government push is number one. What's next? You mentioned waste earlier.
Yeah. Abundant waste. That's the second huge catalyst.
Explain that, because it sounds like a problem, not a resource.
Well, think about places like India, Brazil, China. Massive agriculture, forestry sectors.
Okay.
They produce tons of waste. Crop leftovers, animal manure, sawdust, you name it.
And usually that just sits there.
Or gets burned.
Often, yeah. Or burned in the open, which causes terrible air pollution. Biomass offers a way to take that waste, that problem, and turn it into something valuable.
Like electricity, heat.
Exactly.
Right.
Through processes like direct combustion, just burning it efficiently, or gasification.
Which is heating it without oxygen to make gas.
Right. Or anaerobic digestion, basically letting microbes break down organic stuff without oxygen to make biogas.
Gotcha. So converting waste.
Yeah, and there are great examples, like India's National Bioenergy Mission. It literally pays farmers for crop waste they used to burn.
So it tackles air pollution and gives farmers income.
It's a classic win-win. It changes how you even think about waste. It's not trash, it's a resource.
A valuable resource. And, connecting that further, for some households, especially in rural areas, it can be a real economic shift, turning a nuisance into cash.
That leads perfectly into the third driver, actually. Energy access for communities completely off the grid.
A huge issue in many parts of the world.
For sure. Think sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, parts of Latin America. Places with no power lines.
Right.
For them, biomass isn't just another option. It can be the option. Simple cook stoves, small boilers, even local mini-grids powered by biomass.
Providing reliable, affordable energy where there was none.
Exactly. And you see organizations like the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves working with health agencies to install these things in schools, clinics, farms.
It's more than just kilowatts then.
Way more. It improves lives. Better health because they're not breathing smoke from open fires. Economic opportunities. Even helps with gender equity. Sometimes women bear the brunt of fuel collection.
It's a really powerful example of how energy access fuels broader development, tailoring the solution to the need.
Okay, so those are the big pushes. Government backing, waste utilization, energy access. Sounds great, but there have to be challenges, right? It can't all be smooth sailing.
Oh, definitely not. There are significant roadblocks. Let's start with the supply chain.
The actual biomass fuel itself.
Yeah. Think about it. It's not like natural gas in a pipe or sunshine. It's bulky. It can be wet. It can rot. It's often seasonal.
So getting it from the field or forest to the power plant is tough.
Incredibly tough. Collection, storage, transport. It's a logistical headache if it gets too wet or starts decaying.
Loses energy value.
Exactly. The calorific value drops. Your transport costs go up per unit of energy, and the power plant just doesn't run as efficiently.
And I guess in some places, just organizing that collection is hard.
For sure. In parts of Africa or Southeast Asia where you don't have established agricultural waste channels, getting a reliable, affordable supply is a major barrier. It puts investors off building big plants.
So the very nature of the fuel creates economic hurdles.
Precisely. Managing those physical characteristics is fundamental to making it work financially. It's complex.
Okay, supply chain complexity. What else? Cost must be a factor.
A huge factor. Both building the facilities and running them, high capital and operational expenditures, or CapEx and OpEx, as they say.
More so than solar or wind now.
Generally, yes. Building biorefineries or pellet mills or these combined heat and power plants, it takes serious upfront investment.
And they're mechanically complex.
Right. Compared to solar panels, which are pretty modular, biomass plants have lots of moving parts. They need skilled people to operate them, manage emissions, deal with the leftover ash.
Which all costs money.
It does. A mid-sized plant in Europe might take, 7 to 10 years just to break even, and that's with subsidies sometimes.
Yeah, so in poorer countries.
Private investment is tough to attract without strong government support, like loan guarantees or solid contracts guaranteeing they can sell the power at a decent price.
Right. That raises a big question, doesn't it? How do you actually incentivize investment in these things if they're so capital intensive up front?
It often needs creative financing, public-private partnerships.
Yep.
It's a different challenge than for some other renewables.
Okay, supply chain, costs.
Yeah.
What about the environmental side? We said carbon neutral if managed right. What if it's not managed right?
That's the third big challenge. Air pollution.
Ah, so burning wood, plants,
Yeah.
it can still pollute.
Absolutely. Especially if it's not done well. Poorly managed combustion, maybe in older or smaller systems without good filters.
What does it release?
Things like particulate matter soot, nitrogen oxides out on ox, and CO2, of course, though that's part of the carbon cycle argument. But the
Nice.
particulates and ox are local air pollutants.
And regulators are cracking down on that.
Increasingly, you've got the EPA in the U.S., the EU's renewable energy directives. They set strict limits.
Which means,
It can restrict where you build biomass plants, especially near cities, and it often means needing expensive filters and scrubbers, adding to the cost. That hits smaller operators harder.
so it's a balancing act. Renewable, yes, but still need to manage the immediate air quality impacts.
Exactly. It shows how our definition of clean energy keeps evolving. We have to look at all the environmental impacts, not just greenhouse gases.
Okay, challenges noted. Supply chain, cost, pollution. But technology doesn't stand still.
Yeah.
Where are things headed? What are the exciting new trends?
This is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk BECCS.
BECCS. Bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. Sounds futuristic.
It kind of is, but it's happening now. The idea is you burn biomass for energy, capture the co-euro emissions before they go up the chimney.
And then do what with the Kyoto?
Store it, usually deep underground in geological formations. Or potentially reuse it in other industrial processes.
Okay, but why is that such a big deal? You're still burning biomass.
But remember, the biomass, the trees, the plants absorbed CO from the atmosphere as it grew.
Right. Photosynthesis.
So if you grow it, burn it for energy, and then capture and permanently store that co, you've essentially taken co out of the air and locked it away.
So,
Yeah.
it's not just carbon neutral, it's carbon negative.
Potentially, yes. Net negative emissions. That's the holy grail for climate change. We're seeing pilot projects, big investments in Scandinavia, the UK, the US.
And I guess there's a financial angle too. Carbon credits.
Huge potential there. As carbon markets grow, being able to prove you're removing carbon could generate significant revenue. It changes the whole business case.
Wow. Okay, BECCS is definitely one to watch. What else is happening on the innovation front?
Advanced biofuels. Big time.
Not just like corn ethanol.
No, we're talking second and third generation stuff.
Hmm.
Made from non-food sources like lignocellulosic biomass, the tough woody bits of plants, or algae, or waste oils and fats.
And why the push for these?
Well, mandates mostly. Governments want higher blends of biofuels in petrol and diesel, but the really big driver now is aviation.
Flying. How does biomass fit in there?
Sustainable aviation fuels, or SAF. Airlines are under huge pressure to cut emissions, and batteries aren't going to power long-haul flights anytime soon.
Right.
So they're investing heavily in SAF made from biomass and other waste feedstocks. It can directly replace jet fuel and cut emissions dramatically.
So biomass could be powering our flights.
Increasingly, yes. You see IATA, the Airline Association, governments, they're all pushing for it. It connects the energy sector and the transport sector in a new way.
Okay, BECCS for negative emissions, advanced biofuels for transport. Anything else shaking things up?
Yeah, the integration piece, how biomass fits into the bigger energy system,
Right.
especially with smart grids and other renewables.
How does that work?
Well, think about combining a biomass plant, which can run pretty steadily, unlike solar or wind, with intermittent renewables and battery storage.
So biomass provides the base load, the constant power.
It can, yeah. Or flexible power, especially useful for district heating systems or industrial plants that need constant heat and power. Biomass can fill the gaps when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing.
And technology helps manage that.
Absolutely. Digitalization is key. IoT sensors monitoring everything from the moisture in the wood chips to the plant's output in real time. AI optimizing when to ramp up or down.
Making it a smarter, more responsive part of the grid.
Exactly. It moves biomass from being just a standalone generator to being a flexible, valuable component in this complex, modern hybrid energy system.
So pulling all this together, the drivers, the challenges, the innovations,
Yeah.
what's the overall picture? Is the future bright for biomass?
The long-term outlook looks, well, pretty positive despite the hurdles.
Because it ties into those bigger goals.
Yeah. Waste reduction, energy security and equity, getting to net zero emissions. Biomass has a role to play in all of that.
And we're seeing big companies really stepping up.
For sure. You mentioned some reports. They highlight major players like Ørsted, Drax, Vattenfall. They're investing in the big stuff, the utility scale plants, the BECCS projects.
Okay, industrial scale.
Then you have others, like Enviva, maybe focusing more on producing the fuel, the wood pellets, or Ameresco doing more community-scale projects.
And the tech providers.
Right. Companies like Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Alstom, they're engineering the next generation of boilers, gasifiers, making them more efficient, cleaner emissions.
So a whole ecosystem developing.
It really is. What's fascinating is that diversity. You've got massive industrial projects and small local solutions, all pushing biomass forward in different ways.
Okay, so that brings us towards the end of this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground. The reasons biomass is growing.
Government push, waste streams, energy access,
So the real challenges it faces.
supply chain headaches, high costs, pollution control,
And these really exciting future trends.
BECCS, advanced biofuels, smart grid integration.
Hopefully understanding all that gives you a much clearer picture of biomass and why it's, well, more than just burning wood. It's a complex piece of the energy puzzle.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave folks with. If you look at the whole biomass story we've discussed, it really shows that this energy transition isn't just about swapping one fuel source for another.
It's broader than that.
Much broader. It's about fundamentally rethinking things. What is waste? How do we empower communities differently? How do we innovate constantly to balance energy needs with protecting the planet? The journey of biomass kind of forces us to ask those bigger questions about how we value and use all our resources. What does that mean for everything else we rely on?
That is a powerful thought. Plenty to mull over there. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep discovering.
Thanks for listening.